welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Jessica and I make videos about luxury goods, sustainable fashion, and workwear, and the occasional mom content. So today's video is a collaboration with my friend Caitlin from Pawlowski. Most of you probably already know her, and if you've watched some of her recent videos, you can see that she's had a sort of new mindset about luxury, and she's been more mindful with her purchases and more mindful about consumption and that sort of thing. So we thought it would be fun to do a collaboration because sustainability is my thing. So my video is going to concentrate on the question of whether luxury is sustainable or is a more sustainable option. And then Caitlin's video, which I'll have down below, and then Caitlin's video, which I'll link down below, is talking about luxury shopping as a hobby. And we're both going to be covering 5 different points. If you haven't seen Caitlin's channel, please make sure to check it out. She is not only hilarious, but she's very genuine and she has some good taste. I've also really been liking this journey that she's been on, and I think it's a refreshing take of the luxury YouTube community. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get started. So point number 1, luxury shopping has changed quite a bit in the last, I would say potentially 2 decades, but definitely last decade. And it has definitely started to become a little bit more of a hobby. So this is what Caitlin's video is all about, and I'm not going to go into much detail about it. I will link hers down below, and you can see the information that kind of talks about why this might be problematic. So let's move on to point number 2. To kind of go off of this idea of luxury shopping becoming a hobby, a lot of these luxury brands are starting to make more and more trendy pieces. They are making what the buyer wants, and they continue to make trends versus making items that really are going to be classic and last a really long time. By making something trendy, you're making it disposable, which definitely is not sustainable. And that leads nicely into point number 3, which is the problem of overconsumption. Luxury used to be this kind of thing where you saved up for a really long time and you maybe got 1 or 2 pieces for your collection that lasted you your entire life, and you passed down from generation to generation. It wasn't this kind of thing where we hoarded all of these luxury bags and we're constantly unboxing them and doing that sort of thing. That just didn't really exist. So now that we are consuming luxury, it's really becoming an aspect of fast fashion. Not everybody treats it that way, and it certainly has a price tag that doesn't allow for a lot of people to do that. But our general mindset towards shopping has become really problematic. And if we collect luxury goods as if they are fast fashion, then the overconsumption of that is not only burying our planet literally and is causing huge implications when it comes to the social aspects and the people making our bags, the materials that are being made. There's really a big ripple effect for all of the issues when it comes to over-consuming on things like this. But it's not only the products themselves that are problematic with overconsumption, it's the mindset of the shoppers. The brands are only making what we are asking them to make, right? It's all about supply and demand. But we have this idea that we just need more and more and more. We're not satisfied with one, which means that we don't buy as thoughtfully. We don't know our own style as well because we figure, oh, if this one doesn't work, I'll just get another one, or I'll get 7 of the same bag in different colors, that sort of thing. That overconsumption leads to this uneasiness, unhappiness with what we have in our current collection. So even though we have a bunch of things, we feel like we have nothing to wear. We're never content with what we've got. So that's the reason that fashion has really had this huge issue come about, is because of the mindset that's happened. The production, the people that are involved, the environmental impact, all of that is just an effect of the cause of overconsumption. So when we start overconsuming luxury and we popularize that, we're just continuing to play into these major issues. One of the points that a lot of people would probably give for why luxury is more sustainable is the assumption that it is going to be significantly higher quality because it comes with a higher price tag. That's not always true. It's sometimes true. Sometimes you'll get lucky with that, and there are some companies who are really paying a lot of attention to the way that something is made. The idea behind that, I think, is still true. If you do buy a classic piece, you can have it for a really long time. It does hold value to you and can continue to be worn over and over again. So the quality is worth, let's say, repairing it if it does get damaged, as opposed to having something just be really disposable and wanting to toss it as soon as it breaks or gets stained or whatever that's going to be. So in that regard, I think it's still true, but the actual manufacturing of these goods, because we're producing them at such a high rate and we're treating them like fast fashion, there are companies who are using assembly lines to create these pieces. There are some that are handcrafted and still really nice, but I'd say for the majority of luxury brands, the quality has diminished rather than increasing, even though we're constantly increasing the price and the sort of drive for these pieces when it comes to advertising. Again, a nice little segue into point number 5, which is going to be about advertising. A lot of times we think luxury is more sustainable because of greenwashing. Greenwashing, for those who don't know, is basically this idea of duping your customers into believing that you're making environmental steps when really you're doing very minimal. It's mostly just coming in terms of advertising. So saying something like, I'll take, for example, H&M. That's a really classic example. If you have H&M clothing and then they have their conscious line and they're like, oh, well, this isn't just cotton, it's organic cotton. Great, the material might be better, but it's still produced in a way that isn't better. And H&M, of course, is one of the leading fast fashion retailers, so they're continuing to promote this idea of overconsumption and the disposability of fashion, which, as we've talked about, is one of, if it's probably the largest issue when it comes to sustainable fashion. So luxury has this nice way of saying, oh, our packaging is recycled, materials, and we're not using plastic. So yay for us, that's a big winner. Whereas there's so much more that goes into the manufacturing of these goods that may or may not actually be environmentally friendly at all. Greenwashing is definitely a big issue, and I did a video series about Sustainable Fashion 101, which I'm happy to link down below, which kind of just goes through some basic things. I talk about different materials, leather versus faux leather, just kind of an intro to sustainability. I talk about different clothing materials that we see, and then I also break down some luxury brands and what they are doing to be more sustainable. Some of them are making real changes, but are those changes enough? And are they advertising that they're doing more than they are? In some cases, absolutely yes. One of the biggest issues with a lot of luxury brands, though, is the lack of transparency in their supply chain. We don't know where they're getting these items, so we don't know what quality the materials really are, how the employees are really being treated. Not just the made in Italy or made in France logos that you find at the end, but the actual full manufacturing process is often hidden from these companies. So it seems like they're more sustainable because it seems like they're being made in countries that have a higher regulation when it comes to workers' rights and things like that. But that's not always the case. As if the last thing, it could just be one stitch, was put on in some country, then they can claim that it was made in that country. Whereas obviously the entire supply line, that may not be the case at all. So you can probably tell from those 5 points that luxury is maybe not as sustainable as we would think. If you're buying timeless pieces and classic pieces that you can wear for a long time, you're investing more in these pieces, so you're more likely to take care of them and to maybe not buy them as often, then I think absolutely yes, it's a more sustainable option compared to fast fashion. But is it this beacon of sustainability? I would say there are very few. There are a couple luxury brands that are really trying to be more sustainable, but there are very few that hold that as a really big tenet of what they're doing and kind of create all of their manufacturing and the amount of that they're producing and all of that based on sustainability. That rarely happens. So is it more sustainable? Yes and no. But is it fully sustainable? Absolutely not. I hope that you found this helpful. I also hope that you checked out Caitlin's video. Thank you so much to Caitlin for collaborating with me. It was really fun, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.